Hey guys, Team Trinity Dragon here. Here with another deck list. Today we're doing the D standard overdress format for Dragonic Overlord. So obviously the starter we use Lizard Runner Undu. Undu's just this basic starter. When this unit's right upon, if you want second, draw a card, it's good. Every starter in the game does this, but we use Undu because it's on theme. For the grade 1 of the ride deck, we have Body Mode of Armor Bar. This is just good. When run upon by Nahalem, Dragonic Nahalem, counterblast to deck for any grade 1 card. So it's not just normal unit. You can, if you're playing Sanctitude, which I'm not, you can search for Sanctitude, which is crazy to me, but you know, that's good. That's a good thing. Search for because usually we use bar to search for one of the PGs. But bar, it's also just on theme, so. And we have Nahalem, when it's run upon by a unit with Overlord in its card name, call it from the soul to the rear guard. Good, that's just a good effect. On rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Overlord in its card name, you soul blast one, and him and one of your Vanguards get +5 till end of turn. So that's a pretty good effect. You don't use it, I don't use it too much, but it's good when it's necessary. More or less on the end turn. Last card in the right deck, of course, is Dragonic Overlord. I've played with the end being in the ride line, but when I play tested it, it didn't really work too well because the end likes to have Dragonic Overlord himself in the soul as well to get more benefits from his effect. So there's just a better thing to do is just always have an Overlord in soul. So that's the ride line. We'll move to the grade 0s now. Starting with 4 critical, 4 of these crits, and then 6 total crits. We're playing 4 of these ones and 2 of these ones. They're just crits. They don't have any special things. They're just crits. Next we go on to front triggers. We have 2 non-effect fronts and 1 effect front. Reason we're doing this ratio and same with the crits, I don't have the other effect triggers. So I just have to make do with what I have. So we got regular fronts, effect front. Next we're playing 2 draws, again, not effect draws. Working on that eventually. But draws are good because it increases your hand, and a 10k boost on a 10k stat boost on a trigger check is always helpful. You play 2 no effect heals, and then 2 if your opponent's unit got another crit this turn, outside of a trigger effect, it goes to 25k shield. So we're playing this because the matchup I face a lot is I face a lot of Arena and Nirvana shit. So when Expecta does this thing, he gets another crit. So this going up to a 25k shield is very good. And then this is just a heal trigger. And I just prefer this artwork than the Blaze Main guys. Lastly, play standard 1 over trigger, just like the playmat. It's really good in this deck because that means you get a 3rd restand with your Overlord, which is always really fun. And if you didn't use your standard Overlord's effect, that means you still can get Twin Drive, and then after that the second Overlord attack, you swing with after the Drag Beta power up. Very good. Next we move on to the grade 1s. We play 4 of the PGs. After technical difficulties, we come back and back to the PGs. The reason we use this, after it's placed in the card circle, if you only have 1 card in your hand left after it's placed in the guard circle, it becomes a free perfect guard. The other grade 1s we use are Start 3 Stealth Dragon Tencha Steed. The reason we use this guy is after the unit after the attack this unit boosted hits, counterblast and retire him, and you just practically search for a persona right target. It's just helpful if you don't have all the copies of the card you're trying to get, like you'll see later. Next, we play in the main deck 2 Embodiment of Armor Bar. Bar's good because his rearguard effect, once per turn when your Vanguard's attack hits, he gets a +5 stat boost to his power, so it's helpful, especially when you're trying to go for a kill that turn, because all your units at that point are being powered up, because most of them have stat boost abilities when your Vanguard attacks, or are good boosters. So 2 bar, I want to play 3 in the main deck, but I just don't have the 3rd I can play in the main deck. Next, from the other great ones we play are 2 copies of Dragonic Gojo. When the Vanguard's attack hits it, this boosted, you retire him and then counter charge. So this is your counter charger for the deck if you can't either take more damage or if all your counter boss is used. So good 2 of, maybe 3 would be good, but I think 2 is good right now. The last great one we use in the deck it's a weird one, but just because we don't have other things we can play, we're playing this. Extremist Dragon, Fight Loki Hazard Dragon. No, there's no dragon after that, it's just Fight Loki Hazard. Anyways, when he boosts, he gets +2. Just simple, becomes a 10k booster, but it's helpful. Next, on to the grade 2s. We aren't playing a lot of. We're playing a good amount of grade 2s, I'd say. To start, we're running 4 copies of Berserk Dragon. When he attacks with the Vanguard, has Overlord in its name. He just gets a +5 until end of battle. Then, so he will always get the +5 as long as your Vanguard's Overlord. But then Counterblast, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards and retire it. So he'll always get a +5 stat boost, so he'll always be a 15 when he swings when you're on Overlord turn. And then if you choose to, you can Counterblast and retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or less. So it's very good for clearing up your opponent's board, as long as you can target your opponent's board. Next is 3 Dragonite Nahalams. Nahalam's good. 1, he's in the ride deck, and 2, on rear guard, once per turn, if it was a Vanguard with Overlord in its card name, Soul Blast 1, and until end of this turn, your Vanguard and Nahalam get +5. So you get one from the ride line, so it calls one on the rear, and you have backups that you can call to get more +5 stat boosts. So that's very helpful, very helpful. Next we have 2 Blast Artillery Dragon Brachioforce. Brachioforce is good is when it hits, you put him into the drop and then draw it and retire one of your opponent's rear guards. It's just simple, just generic good stuff. We love generic good stuff. Generic good stuff is just generically good. Next, something that's I really plan to bump up eventually, I just don't have them right now, is Perforate Burners. When it's discarded from my hand during the battle phase, I choose one of my units and it gets +5, and then he goes into the soul. So remember how Nahalam needs a Soul Blast? This guy can take care of that soul issue. So, and it's a +5 stat boost too. So your Overlords usually either go up to 18, 23, or 28 because of how the other stat boosts work in this deck. Finally, we only have 1 of this guy, but we really should be playing 4, Burning Horn Dragon. The reason we only have 1 is because I only own 1 copy, and this guy's expensive. So, when it's placed on the rear guard, Counterblast 1, look at the top 7 cards of the deck, reveal up to 1 card with Overlord in its card name. and throw it to your hand. If you fail to find, or if you just didn't want to grab any of them, you get a counter charge. So if you don't find it, you get back the resource you used. And also, his other rear guard effect is really good. When your Vanguard with Overlord and his card name, like his attack hits, he gets a +5. So every time your Overlord, I'm being dumb. It's not just when he hits, it's when he attacks. So anytime your Overlord attacks, he gets a stat boost of +5. Now on to the grade 3s of the deck. In the main deck, we're playing 3 Dragonic Overlord just for the Persona rides, really.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Vanguard rear during the battle, this unit attacks a rear guard. Your opponent can't guard, or just call things to the guard circle. So Sanctitude works, but
What?
Sanctitude works gets around this, but other than that, if they're not playing Sanctitude, they can't really get around Overlord's attacking the rear guard effect. But now on Vanguard, once per turn, this unit's attack, when its attack hits, counterblast and discard a card, you stand him, and then you get a drive -1 until end of turn.
$20.
It's just good. You want to play the Persona rides for this deck. Draws are good. Next we have 2 to the end. The reason there's not 4 to the end is because I don't own 2 more cups to the end. He's getting a more expensive daily. During your turn, if your soul has the original Overlord, this one, his drives can't be reduced by effects, and he gets an extra 5. Now on the Vanguard also, once per turn at the end of the battle he attacked, counterblast and discard 2 cards and stand him. Usually he'd get drive -1, but since Overlord is always going to be in the soul, you'll always have twin drive. Now finally, temporarily playing Winds of the Apocalypse. It's just an order that says once per turn, if the Vanguard is Dragonic Overlord, choose one of my units, and it gets plus 20,000 to end the battle. Nirvana has something like this, but also Overlord has it. So I run one of it because I don't always see my ends. So yeah, just one of Winds of the Apocalypse is helpful. That was a Decklist. Thank you for watching.